Where you host your website matters. Your website is your most expensive and biggest marketing asset. If your site is down, running slow, or broken, users will have a bad experience, which can lead to lost sales. Going for the cheapest option to host your most lucrative asset is a big mistake. So, who should you host with? If you have a WordPress website, we recommend FlyWheel. It's who we use for hosting all of our clients. So today I'm going to talk to you about my favorite things, my reasons for using FlyWheel as a hosting platform.
Inkyma's Marketing Strategies is a podcast for small business owners hosted by Audrey Kirchner, co-founder and chief marketing strategist at Inkyma, helping you navigate the world of marketing so that you can market your business in the right way, see growth, and thrive regardless of the industry you're in. To learn more about Inkyma and what we do, ask a question, or schedule a marketing evaluation, go to the website inkyma.com. That's INKYMA.com. Listen to the show on your podcast player of choice, the Inkyma website, or the Inkyma YouTube channel. Just search for Inkyma Marketing Strategies and you'll find what you need.
Okay, so just a bit of housekeeping before we get into the podcast. Wherever you're listening to this, I'm going to be referencing a bunch of different links, previous episodes. Go to the website, inkyma.com, go to the episode, and definitely go check out the show notes. All of the links are going to be in there, chocked full of good stuff, and a rough transcript of this entire episode. So that way, if there's something you just want to follow up on real quickly, you can, and you can just go find it in the show notes. And then I wanted to let everyone know that we have launched a new educational only blog called Marketing Masterminds. So this is for all of you out there that are still DIYing all of your marketing. What we want is for you to do it the right way. So Marketing Masterminds has articles on how to do things, what tool sets to use, and what's going to be coming is we're going to be offering video training and all sorts of good stuff. So it's all free. We're not charging you for it. What we have there is we're basically telling you the products that we like to use that we have tested, and we have affiliate links for those products there. So when you click on it, we get a little something back for all that great content that we're creating for you. Okay, so now let's get into FlyWheel. Like I said in the beginning, where you host really matters. And here's why. Your website is a reflection of your brand. It's probably the biggest one because any type of marketing you do, including handing someone a business card, pushes them back to the website. If your website's not working, if it's designed poorly, it doesn't have all your services, if it's not correct, you could lose potential customers. They're going to go there and they're going to go, wow, this is a horrible website. It must be a horrible company. That reflection of their opinion of your website gets directly assigned to your business. And so that's why hosting matters, right? Because hosting is a huge part of how well your site runs, page loads. I'm going to be talking about a bunch of different things. Making sure that features are working actually has to do with the platform that everything is on. So a good host will make a huge difference. So before I get into features, let's talk about why I'm recommending FlyWheel. So we use FlyWheel exclusively as our hosting platform when we are building and hosting sites for our client. And just so you know, when we build a site, we require it to be hosted with us because, again, there are so many variables in a host that we knock all those variables out by knowing the environment inside and out, and that we're managing it so that we're not having to deal with external factors. But the good thing is FlyWheel does let anyone sign up for an account where they want to host just a single website. You don't have to be on their enterprise program and platform. So their service is different than what you're seeing advertised out there for other hosting sites. And so the biggest difference with FlyWheel is that it's a managed platform for WordPress sites only. There's nothing else on their servers. It's just WordPress. So you're not going to have any weird interaction between different underlying software stacks, which is one of the reasons that we really like it. Other providers, they'll have a server out there and they'll maybe have a little bit of WordPress, they'll have a little maybe HTML or other types of programs all on the same server. And then they may be actually at different version levels because On an unmanaged server, meaning they don't make sure that everybody's website software is the same level, you could have incompatibility with versions. So here's what I mean is, let's say your website is on the latest version of WordPress, but another website totally unrelated to you sitting on the same server, they're 2 or 3 versions behind. That can actually cause problems with server performance. And the host providers don't do anything about this until the server actually fails. They don't care if it's running slow. They don't really care if your site is going up and down and your performance is bad. When the server is done, that's when they're going to replace it out. Because again, they're all about volume. They want to put as many people on a server regardless of the software stack or the versions that it's on. This is from experience. When we first started hosting our first website for a client way back in the day, we were using Bluehost. And that's what we were experiencing. The site would go up, the site would go down, pages would load sometimes, pages wouldn't. And then we contacted support and they were like, yeah, that server's going to be replaced, but we don't know when, which wasn't good enough for us. So then we moved everything to Amazon Web Services and managed our own servers there. But we needed a lot of technical expertise on staff in order to do that, because everything had to be written and coded directly and managed. And it worked beautifully. We loved AWS. But again, over the years, then we found FlyWheel, which is really great because a non-technical person can launch, migrate, and manage sites without knowing any code. And that's where the managed hosting comes in from FlyWheel, meaning you put in those requests through their online system, which is fabulous. And their people behind the scenes do all of the things, and they're the technical ones. That's why we like using it, because it frees up our staff for other things. And we know that it's being watched every day, all of the time. So now let's get into some of my favorite features for FlyWheel. The first, always got to talk about pricing, right? Because that's usually the number one question. Well, it's like, for all this, what's it going to cost me? So a single site starter package is either $15 or $30, and that's based off of the volume of traffic that you're getting. And that's with no other add-ons. So that's the managed service fee. So if you think about it, yeah, it's not the cheapest out there, but it's actually not that expensive. And when you sign up for them at the time of this recording, they usually keep different specials going. You get 2 months free with that. And there's a bunch of features that come with $15 to $30 pricing. So let's talk about what some of those are. So the first one is you get a free SSL certificate, just comes with it, and you need one. Doesn't matter if you're a service-based company, you have 1 page, you have 5 pages, you're an e-commerce, everybody needs an SSL certificate today, right? It is a web best practice. Biggest reason is Chrome actually started this, the Chrome browser. Now all of the browsers have followed suit, is that if you don't have a valid SSL certificate associated to your site, Chrome's going to warn people. They're going to put up little red and yellow exclamation signs saying that the site is not safe. Safari is doing that now too, and I believe the Microsoft Edge browser does it too. And the average user isn't going to understand it's a service site. They don't have an SSL certificate. Oh, they're safe. No, they're going to say, what's wrong with this site? Why is it not safe? So simply by installing the SSL certificate, making sure your site is secure, takes care of that. And it comes with your FlyWheel account, and it's really easy to set up. In the dashboard, you click on the install the SSL certificate, and it actually does it all for you right onto the website. You don't have to do anything else. The next thing is a CDN cache. So for all of you people that want to know what CDN means, it's called a content delivery network. And really what this is, it's just a group of geographically distributed servers that speed up the delivery of your website content for where your user is. So they're all over the country, all over the world, right? These small little servers. And so let's say I'm going to your site and I'm in Ohio. The CDN is actually going to activate the version of your pages closest to my location in Ohio and push it from there. Versus if I were in California, it's going to pull those up. So there's like little mini copies of your site all over these servers so that the site gets sent to you as quickly as possible. And the reason why this is so important is that part of your search engine optimization ranking for any particular page with Google is the performance of your site, like how fast it loads, right? So the faster your site loads, the better your ranking's going to be. And I think more importantly, SEO is important, but user experience. When a user comes to your site and your site loads quickly, they have a better experience from the beginning. You're starting off great with them. And then they see the content and they do the things. So does CDN matter? Here's an example. So we had a client where they used someone else to build their website and launch it, and they were not happy. The site wasn't finished the way they wanted. And what we noticed that they didn't even realize that the site was really slow when you loaded it. Like it took forever to load. And so what we did as part of the agreement when we took over their site is we moved it to our host. Now, when we moved it onto our FlyWheel servers, we didn't change anything. We didn't update plugins. We didn't take any old plugins out because extra plugins can sometimes slow stuff down. All we did was move it. And we saw a dramatic increase in website load speed just from the move. And then we went through and we made sure that the WordPress software and PHP and everything were all up to date. All the plugins were updated. And that helped a little bit as well. But the most significant increase was changing the host for the website. So now let's talk a little bit about plugins. So WordPress, if you want to do anything in there, you need plugins for all of the good fun stuff. And the more plugins you have, you might have a risk of speed issues, but definitely security. Good plugins get updated frequently. They add new features, they fix security holes, they fix bugs, they fix incompatibility with when you go from one version of WordPress to the next. So it's really important to keep your plugins up to date for all of those reasons. But one of the alert systems that FlyWheel has in place is they will send you an alert if the current version of your plugin has security issues. So you'll get the email, you'll see that plugin such and such has security alerts. We recommend you go update it right now. And then you can update it as soon as they have it. Because the time between a security issue is found until it's fixed, you're exposed. So you want to shorten that gap. So I think it's really cool outside of their plugin update service, which is an add-on that you can get. They will actually alert you. And it's to both of your advantages. You want to keep your site safe, but the safer all of the sites on that server are, which is their priority, the better off their servers are. So they want to encourage you to keep your site safe, keep it optimized. And so getting hacked via one of your plugins is real. Here's another example. So way back in the day when we were doing just a photography service, we had a separate website. It was actually one of my first websites, independent of my whole entire marketing career. It was outside the companies that I had worked for. Over 10 years ago, we did this. Our site got hacked. And when I say it got hacked, right down to the root level of the server that it was on. And it was because of one of the plugins didn't get updated. And it was a tiny little site. We had maybe 25 or 50 hits per month, but it was vulnerable to hacking. And so they hacked it. So you have to realize just because your site is small doesn't mean it's not going to get hacked. They're going to assume that your site could be a gateway into a bigger site or a different site on the same server, because these guys know there's multiple sites on a single server. And so I think that experience led us to having the standards that we have today to ensure that our sites are just as bulletproof as possible, because I don't want to ever see anybody go through what we went through 10 years ago with that photography site. We had to rebuild it from the ground up. They just took us out at the knees. So the next feature I'm going to talk to you about with FlyWheel is they automatically update your WordPress version and your PHP version whenever there's a new one comes out. So when WordPress and PHP release new software versions, they go in, test it, make sure that they know how to migrate everything, and then they start the process of migrating every single website on a particular server. And then they notify you, hey, we just upgraded your site. Go take a look at it. And that's what's included because, again, WordPress and PHP are those foundation pieces, and it's best practices to keep those updated, and it makes their servers run better if that is the case. Plus, those can be big security risks too. When you get that notification that the upgrade is complete, we do recommend that you go in and go take a look at your website, because sometimes the update to WordPress or PHP can alter your website. Maybe take a section out, it breaks a link. So you need to go and just do a little retest. And so as part of the services that we provide for our clients on top of the hosting is every time there's an update done, we go and we retest the site and make sure it's identical to what it was before. And if there's an issue or a problem, we solve it. We'll restore from backup. We will fix what was broken. But that is something that you would have to do yourself when you're hosting your own site on FlyWheel. Is they'll do the upgrade, but they'll work with you. if you put in a support ticket saying, hey, this got broken during the upgrade, they'll figure out if there's something they need to tweak on their back end. Their support is phenomenal. So I did talk about plugin alerts, but I want to talk about an additional cost feature that they provide for plugin updates. It is really, really important that you keep your plugins updated. And that is probably the number one thing that falls by the wayside for many websites, and they get out of date. And then in 2 and 3 years, they're so far out of date that you can't even update them. You actually literally have to start from scratch. So for that additional monthly cost, either they'll do it, I think either daily or weekly or even monthly. They'll actually go in and make sure all your plugins are updated so that everything keeps working. And it usually most important right after you do a WordPress or a PHP update, because then all the plugins have to make sure that they're working with the latest version of WordPress, and you got to get those in there. Otherwise, your site could run kind of funky. So if you know that you can't keep up with plugin updates, get the extra feature. It's definitely worth it. So the last thing I'm going to share with you is, if you're listening to this and you're like, wow, this is great, you're probably not on FlyWheel. It's super simple and easy to get on FlyWheel, because as soon as you open your account with them, they offer free website migrations. What you'll do is you'll fill out their little form, and they will actually take your existing website and move it to their platform and then give you access to it so you can check it and make sure it's right. They'll tweak and fix things like if there's an image broken or a link broken or something didn't come over right. For a couple of stuff. So when we did our migration from AWS to FlyWheel for all of our sites, they did every single one of them for us. And some of the sites came over beautifully, and some, like the reCAPTCHA, broke and they had to fix that. So their team does all of that for you without any extra charge. So I think it's a really good reason to consider this, because you really don't have to do a whole lot. They're really going to handhold you through that process. The only thing I would make sure that you do is make sure all your plugins and your WordPress and your PHP are up to date, because they're going to do that as part of it. But if you do it yourself before you move, at least you can see if there's differences. But again, their support is great. And then once the site is good on the FlyWheel environment, all you have to do is change your DNS records to switch from the old one to the new one. So hopefully I have inspired you to want a faster, safer, more robust website. And all of this can happen by switching to a FlyWheel host environment. So let's talk about some next steps that you can take to make this happen. So first, if you're unhappy with your current host and it's a WordPress website, consider moving. Like I said before, the migration is free. All you're going to do, and you get 2 months free. So even if you take that first month, you migrate it, you fix it, you're not actually paying for your hosting until month 3. And then the second thing I would go back to is, once you get to the new host platform and you're good to go, if you fall behind with your plugin updates, consider adding on their plugin updater service. It's a really low cost compared to what it would take you to recover your site, rebuild your website if you get hacked, or if you fall so far behind that you can't update it any longer. We took over a client site and they hadn't done a single WordPress, PHP, or plugin update for over 3 years. We couldn't move the site. It would not load on the new servers because of the version differences, and we couldn't upgrade it where it lived because it was breaking and all this other stuff. So the client actually had to pay us to completely rebuild his website on our servers and then do the add-on features that we wanted. So think about it from that perspective as well. So here are my final thoughts for you on this topic. I know there's a lot of hosts out there with bigger names and much lower plans, but you get what you pay for. Those lower plan options come with no additional features. They're definitely not managed host versus you got to do it all yourself. There are no interface features like what we're talking about here, where you hit a button and the SSL certificate gets added. You fill out a form and your site gets migrated, right? Those are all additional things that you have to pay for. So it really isn't going to cost you any less, because you got to pay someone to do all that stuff. And I have heard so many stories from people about their sites having issues with one of those hosts, and then they felt like they were stuck. So I don't want you to feel like you're stuck, and I don't want you to leave your hosting to chance. If you're really serious about marketing your business, then you've got to make sure your website, which is like that center core piece of your marketing, is sitting in a stable and fast environment. So here at Inkyma, we like to give back to the business community. We provide a 45-minute free consultation video conference where you can ask us any questions about marketing, We could talk about hosting. We could talk about plugins. We can talk about all sorts of stuff. But that 45 minutes is for you so that you can get what you need from us. And maybe you want to hire us to move and host your website. Who knows? We also have a contact form on the website. So if you've got a quick question and I always love these, if you have a suggestion for a show, you got a question you want us to talk about, I love those when they come in. I mentioned at the beginning, we have the new blog for Marketing Masterminds. There's a link in the show notes for that. Definitely go check it out. There is content there for everyone and more is coming. So hopefully you found this episode useful and helpful, enlightening. If you have other business people that you know in your network that could also benefit from this content, please share it. Because the purpose of what we're trying to do here at Inkyma's Marketing Strategy and at Marketing Masterminds is to elevate the entire small business community. So thank you for listening and have an amazing day.